Right boys, today I'm going to be making a beat for 21 Savage from scratch. I'm going to use the song Red Rum as a reference and create something that would be perfect for his album American Dream. I'm going for a vintage soul kind of vibe, but I'm also going to try and make it hard and dark.
What do you mean by that?
Instead of finding a sample which is common for these beats, I'm going to try and create my own melody for this one. For every time. Every time! So first of all, I've started off with this piano, the SSS Vintage Upright. I used this in my last video and this is perfect for those vintage kind of samples. I created this melody in the harmonic minor scale as this is really good for making your melody sound dark. Right, so first of all I've just started off with a D minor chord, which is D, F and A, and I've just inverted the F, which is Command up on your keyboard. Then what I did next is I just copied the D and the A, I moved them up an octave, and just dragged them a couple beats over, and then I just repeated the D and the F, and then these two notes up here again. Right, so I've done a similar thing for this chord here. I've just got a simple chord down and I've just inverted the middle note. And then I've got these two notes up here, which are from the chord. And this last chord is where I actually use the harmonic minor scale. The only difference about this scale really is that, so this is the D minor harmonic scale. So it goes from the D to the C sharp, which you don't have in a normal minor scale. I've done a similar thing again here, so I've just got this chord here, and I've just inverted the middle note. And then I've just repeated the same thing again here with these two notes, which are inside the chord. So this is what it sounds like. Why the f*** is it lagging? Right, so for the effects, I've got a low cut, just to get rid of the low so it doesn't clash with the bass. I've got a pitch drift, just to make it slightly detuned and sound a bit more vintage. A bit of reverb, obviously, just makes it sound nice. And then another EQ where I just dip the lows and boost the mids a little bit. And then I just recorded it and bounced it out. Right, so next I decided to add a counter melody to the piano. I've just gone up a couple octaves, just so it doesn't clash with the other notes. And this is what I've got. So what I did here is quite simple really. I just started off at the F, which is what I've got at the top note over here, and I've just gone down as the chords go down. And then I switched it up for the last one, just so it doesn't get super repetitive, and I decided to go up instead of going down, just to make it a bit more unique. I then also put this on a separate mixer track, and I put a bit more reverb on it, done a low cut, and added some chorus, just so it sounds a little bit different to the original piano, and doesn't really clash that much. The next thing I added was this bass from the Rickenbacker bass plugin, and I used the preset Night Session. So for the pattern here, I just followed the root of the... I can't fucking speak! I just followed the root note of the chords and just added a few extra bits. So I like to add a little bit of rhythm to it, and at the end of the 4 bars I like to add something a bit cool. The next thing I decided to add were these strings that I found from Splice. So in the song Red Rum, there's a dark vocal line that plays throughout the whole song, which is what gives it that sort of vintage vibe, but also makes it really dark at the same time. And I decided I wanted to do the same thing, but I didn't want to use a vocal, so I decided to add some strings. So for the effects on this, I put a lot of reverb. I did a low cut and boosted the highs slightly. I also added some fresh air. I added a pitch drift as well, just to make it sound a bit more vintage and detuned. And then I added a chorus to also make it sound more vintage. I also added an imager to make it wider. This imager is also free, by the way, if you want to download it. Right, so the last thing I added was some strings from the BBC Symphony Orchestra, which is a free plugin if you want to go download it. It's really simple, it just helps complement the strings a bit more. So what I've done here is I've just come up with a simple pattern that just follows the chords, and I've pasted it an octave up. So I've done this for all 3, but this pattern's just a bit different. So currently, that does sound pretty bad. It doesn't sound that great, but when I play the whole thing together, it fits in really nicely. I did make this at 180 BPM, but 21 Savage usually raps on beats that are a bit slower, so we'll bring it down to 170. Right, so I've got all the stems chopped up Right, so I've got all the stems chopped up and dragged in, so now we're going to put some drums on it. First of all, we're going to save it, because this is probably going to crash. Straight to the classic clipper, the best clipper, way better than Fruity Soft clipper. Does cost money though, so.
Get your motherfucking bread up, bitch.
Right, this is something that you probably hear a lot, but you want to keep the drums simple on your beats, because you've got to leave space for the artist. So first of all, I'm just going to start off with a 2-step hi-hat, and we're just going to put a little snare pattern down. Right, so when I do my 808s, a lot of the time I like to just pitch them up an octave, just so you can hear where the bass notes are. I know I just made this melody, but I can't remember. You know what, I think I'm going to pitch the melody up. 2 semitones. Right, so I'm just going to pitch this open hat up a little bit. Right, then I'm literally just going to copy this pattern over, and a little trick here. So if you've got a 4 bar and you want to turn it into an 8 bar really quickly, rather than having to go into everything and copy it over, you select them both here, go to this drop down arrow, go on edit, and then merge selected clips, and then you've got it all merged into one. So then next, in the second part, I might just add 1 hi-hat roll somewhere. We're just keeping it simple. And then we'll change the 808s a bit at the end as well. We'll just do this last note going up to the F sharp. So that's all for the drums. I think I might try and flip the melody slightly. Right, so to stop it getting so repetitive, I've just flipped the strings a little bit, I've just reversed them and done a few chops, and this is what it sounds like. Something like this is also used in the song Red Rum, which was produced by London on the track. To stop the beat getting so repetitive, you reverse the sample, and you can hear it throughout the song, the vocals are reversed. Right, so now let's arrange it. Right, so I've just finished up arranging the beat, and this is what we've got.
Turn that shit up.
Thank you all for watching. As always, the loop's going to be in the description if you want to download it and use it for yourself. Let me know what you want me to make in the next one. See ya, boys.